Films and games are two mediums that often manage to deliver quite engaging and immersive experiences. These two forms of entertainment also have quite a lot in common. For example, their structures include a plot, a setting, a range of characters, appropriate music, and a finale of some form. They also rely on production talent from similar fields like acting, writing, art, and sound. Yet, with all those similarities, their experiences are still very different, and they can be distinguished by what seem like four major aspects of games that extend the gaming experience beyond what films already offer. Interactivity is the major mechanic that sets the gaming experience apart from the film watching experience.
Stop him, he's got my bike!
It allows the player to interact with the events unfolding in the game world, as well as influence the outcomes to an extent in most cases.
Thanks, man. Seriously, you saved my ass.
Watching a film, on the other hand, is completely an observational experience only. The viewer has no direct ability and is never required to interact with the events unfolding in the film. Surely, the experience aspires to be relatable to the viewer, but does not allow any form of intrusion or influence over the series of narrative events. New genres of film, however, have begun to experiment with this core mechanic of video games by offering interactivity and influence over outcomes in an attempt to craft more engaging and immersive narrative experiences. The next most significant and important aspect of all games, from physical to board to video, is that they call for decisions to be made.
Merely rendering our enemies unconscious, or they can be reduced to ashes.
What is your opinion, Corvo?
And I have not found an analogy that summarizes this comparison any better than the following quote: "A film is a monologue, and a game is a dialogue." You see, progression in films does not rely on any input from their viewers throughout their playback. But in games, progression is always dependent upon decisions made by the player. Sometimes the call for a decision is pretty upfront and crucial in games, like choosing who lives between two characters, or choosing between different ends to the narrative. Other times it is quite non-direct, like allowing the players to either clear a level with stealth or do so guns blazing, letting them maneuver a level from higher ground or approach their objective walking the streets. Decision making is what connects the game and the player in a back and forth, like in a conversation. And this connection is what majorly extends the gaming experience beyond the film watching experience. The ability to experience the same game in multiple different ways is the next major aspect that differentiates games from films that do not offer any variation in their playback. We can think of a film as a series of pre-decided events that unfold the exact same way, regardless of how many times you choose to watch it over. Games, on the other hand, offer a more flexible and dynamic journey through their narratives and their playthroughs, with choices to multiple difficulty levels that tweak how smart the enemies act, support for different playstyles that encourage the players to approach the level however they prefer, emergent mechanics that can generate varying events, and options to multiple solutions for level clearance or narrative progression provide the potential for every replay of a game or only a particular level to be quite different from the last. This offering of a dynamic experience over a fixed series of events further distinguishes games from films. Exploration is my most favorite part about games, and is also the reason behind the great sense of depth that video game worlds manage to provide that films cannot really imitate. And that's because the viewer's exposure and access to the physical world depicted in a film is totally restricted. They can only see the parts of the world that they are strictly shown. Whereas open world games offer massive traversable maps with locations waiting to be discovered by the players, regardless of whether they choose to explore them or not. Being able to maneuver the environment in which the narrative experience of a game is set significantly increases the sense of connection the players feel towards the characters, the narrative, and the game world itself. A deeper sense of connection through interactivity, decision-making, dynamic experiences, and exploration is what extends the gaming experience greatly beyond the film watching experience. To say that one medium is better than the other would be an absolutely poor claim. But these four aspects are surely how they are different from each other.